Oh, it's nice meeting you. My name is Michelle Hawley. I'm the editorial director at CMSWire. If you want to introduce yourself.
Yes, my name is Bennie Boone. The pleasure is mine. Thank you for having me here. I've been a technologist for about 24 years now. I've worked on products for large companies, small companies, across the whole gamut. And so I'm basically a visionary innovator nerd.
Well, you can't escape the big topic this year has been AI agents. Everybody's talking about it. It's been like a buzzword. Are you using AI agents in any capacity in your work?
With my work, we're currently not using agents. We use LangChain and RAG to do AI tasks. But agents is where we're going because that's the future. And I think what's really powerful about agents is you don't have to be as rigid with your code and with the request you're making. And with agents, they can basically take information, process it in natural language, and then delegate the work to other agents and communicate back and forth, and then also leverage tools to perform tasks. I think agents are going to revolutionize the way we do things, and it's going to be a delicate balance because it's going to, with technology, the more technology progresses, the less work there is for people to do. But I do think that will spawn new careers and new things that will emerge as a result of that. I was talking to a friend yesterday, and he made the point that when he got on the plane on his way here, he saw that first class was full of teenagers. And this is because they're, able to, make all this money from, social media and TikTok and things like that. So that's a good example of a new industry, popping up. I also think that with agents, we'll be able to get a lot more done with less, but I think you'll still need people to help vet and control, the content and the things that are being produced. I think one of the challenges is going to be finding the balance where the robots don't take over the workforce. And so that's, I think, one of my biggest concerns is with AI and these emerging technologies, you can get so much work done faster and you need less people to do it. And so I think that's the biggest concern I see. And the robots work for free. They don't eat, they don't sleep, they just work and they don't buy anything. So they're not really, giving back. So that's kind of my thoughts on agents.
I think the same. I can't really ever see a future where humans are completely out of the loop with AI, and the AI agents, at least I hope not, as far as keeping them in check and making sure we're following compliance and having some sort of ethics standards. Do you have any sort of roadmap for where you want to use AI agents in your organization in the future?
Yes, I do, because I think what's most important or powerful about agents is tooling. So in the future, you can have agents that can analyze a task, figure out what needs to be done, and then use other agents to help format that request or process it, and then invoke tools that can do things like generate images, create an RFP, for example, for a proposal, send an email, add something to your calendar. I think for the current organization we're in now, we're really looking at this to be able to generate marketing content to solicit new business, and then also create proposals and requests and things like that. And then also to have a library of all of your content where you basically have a super Google or Gemini or knowledge base that you can query any of your content throughout your whole system and get informed answers from a PhD level, robot, if you will.
So with all these digital tools coming out, we're pushing content to all these different channels. I think a lot of companies still struggle with omni-channel and getting that consistency across everything, making sure nothing is dropped in the meantime. What do you think is the biggest challenge there, bringing it all together?
I think the biggest challenge in terms of bringing it all together is you have to find a way to aggregate all of your data, format it for all of the channels correctly, and different contexts. You may have data that you're sending to a soccer mom who lives in Nebraska. You might have data that you're sending to, a business professional who, has, a corporation, for example. And so I think the challenge is going to be creating the correct segment and targeting the right segments with the right content. And so I think the challenges that you have with that is having the ability to optimize the content for all of your channels and fully automate the process. Because with that, you still, need checks and balances to prevent, sending something out at mass, that's not correct. That could cause some real problems. Did I answer that correctly?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So one thing I've heard a lot of people talk about here too is this idea of like one-to-one personalization, serving up the super tailored content to each person that comes to your site or interacts with your brand. And I think if they're still struggling with omni-channel, which isn't quite as personalized, do you think that one-to-one personalization is going to be possible anytime soon?
In the future, I can see that just with the power of AI and the amount of work it can perform in such a short period of time. I've seen, targeting people and segmentation based on like areas of interest and things like that. But as far as one-to-one targeting, I think the trick is you have to be able to learn a lot about your customers and be able to keep all of that data and know everything that Michelle has bought in the last month, or Michelle has looked at, her click-throughs, her conversions, what she's searching for. I do see this as being something that will be very viable in the near future. Just when you look at how much the AI technology has progressed. It's not like a linear thing. It's like exponential, if you will. And the progress that they've made is beat like Moore's law. That's like this old law where it will scale, X number over time. But now it's just exponential. And so I think as we have more compute power and bigger models and stronger inference, I think that these AI models or agents will be able to correctly target a person based on exactly what they want, or looking for.
I think another challenge with that too would be making sure that the way that you're serving up this personalization doesn't come across as creepy.
Exactly. I think that is a big challenge. I've noticed that when I'm at home and I look on my phone and now I'm looking at an ad or something that my daughter's interested in, and this is something that I've never looked at in my life, never had any interest in, and I'm like, how are they doing this? And so we speculate like maybe they can tell what your hotspot, what router you're connected to, and know that it's a household thing. I think it's going to be a delicate balance to protect people's privacy. Me personally, I don't want an entity to know everything about me. I'm the type of person that likes to buy something when I'm looking for it and not when someone's telling me to buy it. So I think that's going to be one of the biggest challenges is not to creep people out or be too intrusive or in all of your, data or information that one might consider private.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I don't really like being tracked all the time online. I don't like being served up things that, maybe you and I have a conversation about something that I'd never looked up online, but then I'm starting to see ads for it,
Yes.
Don't like that kind of stuff. But kind of going over and then into like your tech stack, the things that you use in your job. But do you have any like thoughts on the all-in-one platform versus like a best-of-breed approach?
So I think that there's no such thing as an all-in-one platform. I think to become an industry leader, you need to use multiple tools for multiple things. So for example, you may have Adobe Experience Manager to manage your assets. You may use Adobe Target for personalization. You may use Journey Optimizer to target your customers. You may use Workfront to do something else. You may have some other agentic framework that you've built that uses Google Cloud Platform and Amazon to leverage all of these, vision models and AI models. So I think for companies to excel, you have to keep innovating, and you can't just have one out-of-the-box system. You need to have multiple things that can work together to efficiently create or serve what you need.
I think another challenge too will be figuring out which platforms are going to stay around in the next several years. I mean, you got your big players like Adobe and Microsoft. They're not going anywhere, but there's all these companies popping up, and how do you pick one that isn't going to be gone in 5 years?
And I think that is the challenge. And even with the big companies that are your industry staples, you can still have these new companies come up and just disrupt everything. Like good examples, if you go back and look at Yahoo. That was like your industry standard search engine, and never in a million years would you think that any company could topple them. And here came Google, or look at AOL Mail, you thought that was it, or MySpace, for example, and now you have Facebook. I think that it's hard to hedge your bet on who's going to be the winner in the end. But I think if you just zoom out and look at history and say, okay, for example, Adobe's been doing this for X amount of time, and they're growing and growing and growing. So this is going to be around. Microsoft has, SharePoint and Azure, and this is going around. This is a less expensive alternative to, for example, using AWS or something. So I think that there will be winners and losers, and you can't really predict the future. You just have to work with the tools that are available to you and make them as efficient as possible for your use case.
Well, speaking of predicting the future, last question for you. Next 3 to 5 years, how do you see the digital experience space evolving?
I think we're going to see changes like we've never seen before. Now, we have AI creating content, creating images, videos, text, anything you can think of. And now when I look at YouTube, oftentimes I'm watching videos and they're not like authentic content. You can tell like AI had some role in this, or there's some narrator that's doing this. I think digital experience is going to change dramatically, and it's really hard to say how it will shape, because if you look at all the content creators, for example, people who create content or experiences, now you can ask an AI model, hey, can you create this for me, or create a banner ad, or create this, layout for me? And it does a pretty good job, but, still needs some coaching and help along the way. But I think in the next 3 to 5 years, it's the way we create content is going to be just as simple as talking to an agent. You're like, hey, I need to create a campaign. I need to source assets that target users who do this or are interested in this. And I think you'll just click a button and it will generate all of these different digital experiences for you, create your target audiences, and automatically serve this to people and see how they're converting and using them, and then come back and say, this is the experience for this person, this demographic who uses this browser and who shops for rugs, for example. So I think the landscape is going to change, and it's hard to see what it's going to look like, but it's exciting.
Yeah, I mean, things are moving so fast right now. I don't know what's going to come.
Indeed.
Well, thank you so much for sitting down with me today. It was great talking to you.
Thank you. The pleasure is mine, and enjoy the rest of the event.
Thanks, you too.